Call this meeting to order. Pledge allegiance. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, our agenda is approval of minutes from May 24th, President's remarks, General Manager's report, USGA update, golf course, public comment, old business motion of Jeff Nepper on MO2 to refer to the Marine Advisory Committee for review. New business motion, Jeff Nepper, MO7, referral to Marine Advisory and Environmental Natural Assets Committees. CPI actions, if there are any at this point. Appointments to committees, media questions, and adjournment. Any additions to the agenda?
Yes. And as item number 2 under new business, discussion of general manager's objectives.
Could you say that a little louder, please? Can't hear you. Can't hear you.
I want to add, as item number 2 under new business, a discussion of Bob's objectives, Bob, the general manager's objectives for the new year that we're in.
Sure.
As a part of the bonus program.
Which year are you referring to? The current year?
No. No.
Next year. Thank you.
The year that we are in today.
14, 15.
14, 15.
Got it. Thank you.
Any other changes? Okay. Minutes, May 24th. Any changes or adjustments to the minutes from Saturday?
Only question I had is on Joe Moore's report. I think this is on page 3 of the minutes. Fourth line from the bottom regarding 52 Battery C. It said the property had been abandoned in the past 2 months. Was that months or years they were referring to? I don't remember that. Does anybody remember that? Michelle? Usually it said 2 months per minute. Okay, that's fine. I just was questioning that.
Any other change, any adjustments at all? Who's to accept? Second.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Mr. President, why aren't the minutes from the last work session this packet? Why is it being held next month?
Any idea?
Oh, I mean, usually, no, I mean, that's a good answer. I think that's a very good answer.
I don't know.
No, but, being new on the board, I mean, usually it's the work sessions and the previous, actual meeting.
I can answer that for you.
Oh, okay.
If you recall, typically Michelle does all the minutes. Michelle will be there. Teresa did the minutes, and we're just converting everything to make sure everything.
Okay, well, if you also recall, I was very fascinated by that piece of equipment because they were long-handing the input. This, what do you call it? An iPad? Is it an iPad?
It's not an iPad, but it's...
What is it?
It's a tablet.
Tablet, okay. So I thought that you could interface that particular piece of equipment with, software or something that prints out? How do you transcribe?
I'm trying to follow what you're looking for. It's a tablet.
Yeah.
It has handwriting recognition software built into it.
Right.
And then it converts it to text and upload it to our computer system.
Right. So it could be done in like 24 hours.
No.
No. That's what I'm getting to.
No. If you've never used a tablet, it takes time to learn how to use it. It was handed to Teresa about an hour or so before the meeting.
I see.
We kept duplicate notes, filing those notes to make sure it's all accurate.
Okay. Fair enough.
Yeah, Michelle's getting much better with it now. Just speed, but it's still, we don't have it all ironed out yet. It's new technology for us.
Okay. All right, thanks.
Okay. President's remarks, I'll actually defer to Sharon O'Hare. You've got some quick comments.
Just some announcements. We lost a manager of our marina who's been here for 19 years with us, Mr. Showalter, passed away on May 23rd, and I want to acknowledge his time with Ocean Pines. Olga Perozic also was passed away on May 22nd, and she was the founder of the Democratic Women in Ocean Pines. So she's a very well-known person. I want to recognize that. And for you sports lovers, I don't know if you've seen in the paper, but those of you who are following the World Cup, Kyle Beckerman is the son of Ocean Pines residents here, and that's kind of a cool thing. They've been living here for 5 years, the Beckermans. So they're out there in Brazil right now cheering their son on, and those of you who are watching the World Cup, Americans, and he's the one with the Rastafarian hair. You can't miss him. So I just thought I'd mention. Okay?
I have got to ask, what is Rastafarian hair?
Rastafarian hair, dreadlocks. You know what dreadlocks are? Okay, cool. Okay.
I may have been the only one in the room that didn't know what that was, but I didn't. Okay, General Manager's report.
All right. If it's all right, Tom, I'd like to just change something. The GM report, the USG update. Darren Bavard's been here, I think, since about noon today. And I'd like to move my time just below his, just so he can get back on the road back home if no one objects. Darren, is with the USGA. Comes in once a year to evaluate our golf course. He did for many years, and then had that 3-year window where he wasn't coming in. We started inviting him back. And I've got to tell you, we're winging it here. I have no idea. Darren just got off our golf course. He's with Rusty, our superintendent, and I asked Darren to come in and just give us what he saw today. So if no one objects, I'm going to flip-flop that. Darren, welcome.
Thank you, Bob. Actually, I generally get in here about 2 or 3 times a year, and 2 times generally officially and actually do a report, but Rusty calls and has an issue or something like that, try to get down as quick as you can to look at it. Primarily looking at the entire golf course, but certainly the greens are of great interest with the investment that's been made in them in the last couple of years. And boy, they look really good overall right now. Rooting was really good, turf density. So nobody knows what the weather's going to bring us. We never do. But as far as your greens, I think that now that they're starting to mature, I think that you'll see the greens on the front 9 that are going into their 3rd season, basically. I think they're going to hopefully pretty much problem-free. Greens on the back 9 still a year behind, but I think they had, because the weather was better in some respects last year, they had a better first year than the original 9 anyway. But overall, I think you have a much better opportunity to get through the weather, and that inevitably we have here in the Mid-Atlantic region at some point during the season. Probably now, as I see it, looking at turf grass, your fairways as a whole are probably the weaker area. Right now, they're overall very good. But the first thing I noticed, and I'm not sure there's anything you can do about it, it is what it is, but first thing I said to Rusty when we rode out from behind the shop and went to the 4th hole, I said, my God, look at the cart track. And again, I'm not sure that, I'm not saying restrict carts or do anything else, but I think for those that play golf, just at certain times when you're out there and you have a chance to look at the difference between the turf quality on the cart side of the sign and on the restricted side of the sign. And you have to manage it, you have to deal with it just like everyone else, but definitely see the impacts that golf carts have on turf. Where possible, especially around your greens complexes, I think you should continue to look at tree removal options. Again, I'm not talking about clear-cutting anybody's golf course or anything, but around your greens, it is so critical to have that sunlight penetration. And again, with the investment have, you want them to be, the best that they can. And, beyond that, if anybody has any questions for me, I'd be happy to answer them. But to go into the details that Rusty and I discussed, I don't think anybody would really be interested to hear it.
Well, I got it. I like golf. I play golf.
Yeah.
Are you suggesting cart path only?
No,
for this
no,
week?
not at
Okay.
all. I'm just
well,
suggesting.
Well, elaborate on that a little bit. Let's get into that.
Well, I'm just suggesting that people observe the impact that cart traffic has on the fairway. That's all. Because inevitably, when it gets hot and you catch the rain events, the fairways have struggled. And you've done some experimentation with Bermuda grass, for example, which may hold up better. But no, I don't think cart paths only is even practical for your situation, unless it's just so wet you can't get out there or whatever. But on a consistent basis, you just have to manage it. No way, shape, or form am I suggesting cart path only. It's just an observation that I had when I was out there. So that's all.
And Darren, will you provide your typical report following this visit? Or
Yes. Yeah.
Thank you.
You mentioned the Bermuda grass. Are we at any situation going forward where a change out to something else might make sense down the road, or you mentioned it, so it kind of...
I think possibly Bermuda grass may be a better option, but let's see how some of the experimentation goes. But it's certainly for, one of the issues is whether package play and that type of stuff. I don't know how big of a deal that is here or not, but looking at other cities, Ocean City Golf Club, for example, they have Bermuda grass fairways, and in this cold spring, it was an issue that the Bermuda grass did not green up as quickly as they would have liked, much later this year. So it's a balancing act that you have to look at. So at this point in time, I think you're doing exactly what I think you should do, is experiment and look and see what options are out there. But the challenge with the cool season grasses that you have is, in the worst areas of your fairways, you have ryegrass, you have annual bluegrass, you have Bermuda grass, you have bed grass. And all four of those grasses have different needs. They tolerate different products differently and that type of stuff. So that's where the challenge can be. The belly of number 9, for example, they're just short of the bunker, that low drainage area. If you look, there's 4 different kinds of grass there, and one of the areas is struck. So I'm not sure there's a perfect solution for the fairway situation, but looking at different options is certainly well-founded, and you've got some areas of Bermuda grass out in the fairways that you could certainly look at over time.
Well, I don't know if anybody else saw the U.S. Open on the TV this weekend, but if you saw the condition of that course where they were playing the U.S. Open, it just appalled me to look at the condition of that course. I mean, I would have been embarrassed if I was trying to host that level of course with the course condition it was in. I mean, half the doggone course was browned out.
Yeah.
And it was bad. I mean, I don't know.
And that was by design of the renovation of that golf course. If you went to, for example, Pinehurst number 8 or the other golf courses, they're just gleaming green. But that renovation on number 2 was a decision by the Deadmans to go back to 1943, basically the time.
They underwater.
They only have a single row irrigation system for it. So, but for us to get it, the firm and fast conditions, and they've been really dry down there as well leading up to it. So it has been extremely dry. And you get right down to it, you look at the amount of rain that they had around Pinehurst, we were lucky that we only had, 65/100ths of an inch of rain for the whole week.
We don't want that kind of course. I'm just trying to make sure it's clear.
And I don't recommend it for many people. Most people don't have quite that landscape, or, at Pinehurst you can dig as far as you want, and all you're going to hit is sand. So it's a little bit different animal. So not recommending that for you.
Okay. Any other questions? Just to set the rules aside for a minute, any questions out there? Frank?
Why not? Frank Watkins. Just a question. Why not try alternating weeks odd holes for cart path only? Like week 1, 1, 3, 5, no cart path, etc. And just alternating weeks for a month in this heat.
Well, I don't have a problem with that. That's a decision not a decision for me to make. I think that a lot of people would view that as impractical. And so I guess that's something for, to be discussed. But, I mean, cart paths only on 9 holes to a lot of people is as bad as cart paths only on all 18 of them. So that's
We have and a lot of members that are
Up in age.
mid-70s, up in age, and once it's cart path only, they can't play anymore. And, we have to be cognizant of everybody, and we have to, their members too, or their, paying customers, we have to be cognizant that what we would like to do with the course is different than, we have to be accommodate everybody. And some people it just cuts them out at the end.
Yes, dead on, Frank, and also we have to be competitive. These golf courses, these golf courses in the surrounding area, they're looking for the play, and they're going to accommodate that customer to the best of their ability. And if they restrict them with, heavy-duty walking, they'll go somewhere else. They will play somewhere else. So we have to be very cognizant. But it's a good question. It's a good idea. It's a good thought.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Very good. Thank you.
Thank you. Sorry to rush out. But
Well, that's okay. Appreciate it.
Now I'll go to my report. Works for everybody. Darren, good memo on the colors.
Oh, this is the only one I got, Bob. So.
Yeah, I don't have anything with a fancy badge. All right, Trevor, Darren was coming in today. It was either this morning or this afternoon, so what we asked was him to come in the afternoon, knowing he would do his walkthrough of the course and then come right behind it and come report to you guys. So I figured to share it with you. Okay.
So we got the briefing before you?
You actually got the briefing ahead of me, yes. A little risk involved, but that was okay. So with that being said, summer's finally here. We have a lot of moving parts, a lot of stuff going on right now. So I'm going to run through this relatively quickly. Again, if you have questions, let me know. Let's hit the hottest topic, and that's the yacht club. Kind of a cool aerial shot. We're going to have that. A couple of the aerials we'll be putting up on the website, but if you haven't seen them, take a look. Once they get up there, they're pretty cool. It can really gives you an idea of what's been accomplished out there and difference from previous club. Some things going on. We've had year to date since we've opened. Okay, we've had 5 yacht club weddings and 4 other yacht club events. So we've had 9 events there. 2 beach club weddings, 1 country club wedding, and 2 other country club events occur. More importantly, scheduled events coming up at the yacht club. We have 37 scheduled events, which is inclusive of every Saturday, with the exception of the 4th of July weekend. We are booked for a wedding through November, or to November. So every Saturday here forward, with the exception of July 4th weekend, we have a wedding. So that's pretty astounding. Beach Club has 7 events, and Country Club has 4 events scheduled. So events, bookings, those type of things are up, and every one we do, we find things we can improve on, things we need to add, suggestions. But out of the gate, they've been going extremely well. We're pleased with the number of events, and like I said, we're learning as we go, and the fact that people keep booking, reviews have been pretty good, so we're excited there. Another one of the aerial shots, I zoomed in a little bit because I think it's pretty cool to look at. We have our new pool furniture that's arrived, so if you haven't been down to look at the club, take a look. It's all in now. We were short 24 items up until last week, and that all arrived, so they're up. Most people didn't notice because it just wasn't warm enough for a period of time to fill everything, but now it's storm enough. So that's going well. We've had some very positive. Some of the new furniture, one of the items that most people just overlook, we ordered it with different strapping. This strapping actually holds more weight, and I've actually had people call and thank us for the fact that they're more comfortable in the chairs. So just little changes that occur. The umbrellas are a little larger than the other umbrellas we have ordered. So just every little difference we can make some improvements. Some other things I want to point out here. Some things we're wrapping up now. Tiki Bar, our goal is to have that open just for July 4th weekend. Had some things we had to work through there. The cupolas that go on the roof, if you remember on the drawings, there's cupolas. They had to be special ordered. They should be here anytime. Landscaping, we're tying up some of the landscaping, including the flagpole, which was on back order, so that should be in any time now. And we're building planters because we're required to have, the county had required us when we came out because we have so much, we don't have any planters on, or any green on this side of the building, to have planters made. So we're actually in the process of, instead of ordering those, making those. They'll go up along the base of the building. And we need to continue to put those type of items out there because there's a lot of pavers and everything else, so it's been our intent all along to do something.
Okay.
Sure.
It's an operational question, but it just has to.
Okay.
Is somebody taking care of getting some landscaping?
Yes, and some of it's automatic. And some of the new landscaping, there's a weed line that's been run, so it's automatic. You'll notice the green bags that are around the base of the trees. Public Works actually goes by and fills those truck, and that's a slow fill to keep the trees alive. And then the plants that don't have one of those two items, the yacht club team, along with Public Works, are watering.
It's just a lot of new planting, especially in the season.
Yes, sir.
Point of information, a lady asked me last week, there's a group that she's affiliated with, about 80 folks, and she said that she might be interested in having an event at the yacht club, having it catered. But she thought that the hall was so big, or the second floor was so big, it would bury the 80 folks. Am I mistaken? Wasn't there a concept or an idea in the plans at one time to put in some dividers or something of that nature to have multiple events or smaller events in that room?
You are correct, and the infrastructure is in place to do so. We're not putting them in this year because we're going to see how the facility do. At the same time, we have had smaller events, i.e. 50 people, and by moving them to one side or the other of the room, putting our focus there, it has not been an issue.
Okay, should I have that lady get in touch with you?
Sure, or David at the yacht club.
David, okay. All right, I'll do it.
They just did, Jack, they just did the wine tasting last week, and there were maybe 70 of the 66, 70. It worked out very well. We were just on one side of the room.
And just for clarity, we are now taking reservations for the Sunday brunch at this point. So people can make reservations because I know it's very busy over there.
It has. Father's Day, 370-something served.
Well, this last Sunday,
Father's Day.
I haven't talked. Yeah, it's about for the whole day. It was supposed to be 400. Yeah, they're doing. I just wanted to, because there was some confusion as to whether we were or were not.
Okay, in the budget, we budgeted for a drainage team. I want to just give an update for you all. We had actually, the team was put together in May. We have two of our full-time staff that have been here for a number of years and know all the roadways. We have two seasonal staff that we've hired. So we have four people. Current efforts you don't necessarily see because they're working on the big drainage ditches. They're kind of off the beaten path. Now, if you live next to one, you see it. But in general, and a lot of these areas are inaccessible by vehicular access. Whether it's the Bobcat or truck or what have you, they have to hand walk down them and do the pruning and cleaning. And that's where the focus of this crew has been the last few weeks and will continue to be a little bit longer. Just kind of walking them all, trying to do the best they can to get them off years has built up. That's where their focus is. In addition to that, once they finish that, was scheduled for the first 30 to 60 days, depending on how quickly they get through those. They're going to move to the stormwater ponds because we have a number of those around, and they're going to get in and clean those up. Any spraying, any that type of thing needs to be done. In the next 10 days, we should be receiving, it's called the sewer machine, but that's the machine that blows out the pipes. Once that arrives, that timing should fall pretty good to this other work that we had scheduled first, and then they'll use that machine and they'll start going around and just blowing out all the pipes anywhere that we've had issues to make sure they're all clear. And if you recall, that was a big thing last year because we had to rely on the county, and they've been helpful, but the dedicated crew trying to stay ahead of it. One thing that is a misconception that some folks have had, and they've called, they want the drainage team to come to their house and work. They have a ditch or they have that. This crew is not taking assignments through the regular work order system. It's not a resident call-in hot item. This was a separate crew, if you recall, that we were establishing that was going to work long-term planning for the drainage. So they're doing separate work than the items that hit work order system via resident call. Okay.
The residents still can call in with an issue.
Oh yeah, we have our regular crews going out, but these are a separate grouping that focus on.
May I ask a question on that? You mentioned the stormwater ponds. Are you talking about Bay Bridge as being one of those, or pond over by Harbor Village? Are those the ponds that you're addressing?
Bay Bridge, yes, not necessarily Harbor Village, but we're going to look at the one on the just up north from the south end firehouse that's hidden in the back there. We have a number of ponds that are kind of hidden off the main areas. That they're the ones that we maintain that are going to be addressed.
I mean, dealing with the hydrilla and all that kind of stuff. Is that what you're talking about, or just
yes.
cleaning it up?
Cleaning them, and they're building as they're going through these, building the maintenance program each. Again, now that we have a dedicated team focused on that, we're able to put your specific effort. But before we get there, we have to get everything cleaned up.
Bill and I were just at the environmental meeting yesterday, and they were talking about this too. So I'm hoping perhaps this team can talk to some of the people in environmental. Maybe they can do some efforts together because they want to help us get in. Okay. So just a suggestion.
Did I hear you correctly that you're not necessarily going to do anything in the Harbor Village Fund? Did I mishear?
No. There's. I don't want to address the Harbor Village because you've spoken direct to the head of public works about some issues you're having there. So I'm trying to keep a very clear separation of board member and resident. So that's why I stayed away from that.
So what does that mean in English?
It means board members aren't going to get preferential treatment. Not that you asked for it.
No, I didn't.
You're saying in English, so I'm going to tell you.
Yeah, I didn't. And I did go to him as a civilian, not as an elected official, because I was getting some heat from the folks.
No, and again, I tried to stay away from it.
Right.
I need to, a couple things in English. I can't give board preferential treatment, so we have to be careful there.
Fine.
Secondly, when a board member approaches a department head, it's hard for the department head to make a distinction, board member resident. So it creates some energy there.
Yeah, but he was clear that I was a resident. No, he should have been, because I tried to make it clear to him.
Just like when you walk into my office and say, I'm coming to you as a resident, not a board member,
yes.
You're still a...
Okay, well, I was a resident.
I
have rights as a resident, and I want to maintain them.
Okay. And the third thing is we're exploring the turnover agreements for specific areas, because turnover agreements, each section have certain limitations, certain things that would be added in or not added in. Example, let's get away from Harbor Village for a minute.
Sure.
Trying to stay off that subject. The points all the way down at the end. There's a sign at the point that recently had some damage to it. Well, that sign doesn't fall under the Ocean Pines Association purview to go fix it, repair it, that type of thing. Now, we assist the folks at the point with work down there, but we don't actually, they had to pay to have their sign. Turns Landing, again, they put a new sign in recently. Totally on them. We help them with some equipment. We'll up to the individual sections to maintain anything that was not turned over to the association in the agreement. So when someone approaches us about some work, either in a stormwater management pond, a fountain, a bubbler, signs, we have to go back and validate what was or wasn't getting turned over.
No, I understand.
So that's all.
I do. I understand. Now you're going to move on the drain. You're going to move to another topic.
Well, yeah, but drainage was mentioned again at the end.
Well, then I'll hold my question.
Go.
You
I
know
hope to answer it. Well, let me get ahead. We're going to schedule in July, and you'll see on my last slide.
Bob, this is a great step forward. I mean, I'm not being critical. This is a tremendous endeavor and a great step forward. Really is.
I didn't think.
No. I know that.
Yeah,
I just want to be
what
clear.
we thought we would do is get the team in place for a couple months,
Yes.
see their work, let them identify where the areas are, and then we'll have our meeting. That way, if we've identified anything that the task force may not have, we'll be able to address it with smarter about it.
Okay. Just to remind everybody on the board, these are very, very qualified people from the county level, and you know they'd be a great resource to us. Thanks, Bob.
Sure. Finance. There was some energy around finance this week. Let me explain finance for everybody that did not have the controllers report out yesterday or today. We're targeting Friday. We currently have our financial audit underway. This is where the auditors actually come sit in our admin building for 30 days, and they review everything, top to bottom, left to right. So they're in. We also went through, which impacts our very limited finance department, we went through payroll provider change. We were using a previous provider. We changed, did that. We found some shortfalls there, so we redirected, and we now have a new payroll company. Again, changing payroll companies is very time-consuming. This time of year, even more so. So the resources were pulled in that direction. In addition to when the amenities come up, all of a sudden everything, we're doubling and tripling in size. You go from 1 to 5, you go to Beach Club being open instead of just the Country Club and Yacht Club Unlimited. Everything's full swing, so that was the resource in addition to the closeout. So I know there were some folks a little upset that the financial report wasn't done. The numbers are going to be the numbers, whether they're done today or Friday. The accuracy of the numbers are more important than the expediency to get them out. So we delayed a couple days with the other pressures. I told Art it was all right. So no one can be upset. Art, I gave him permission. If there's an issue with it, come see me about it. I think it was appropriate to try to get them accurate than just try to get them. Questions here? A couple updates on the pools. There's a picture of, I went through this in, the new splash pad. The color's a little off in my slide, but splash pad has been installed. We're actually could have opened last weekend. We elected not to. And this picture actually showed it for us. This was the splash pad that was put in. This is the concrete area that actually goes around. There were some areas, not unlike some of the other pools that we have, where the expansion joints have the rust where the metal has corroded over the years. So we went back and made sure the contractor came back and caulked all that. And then we went back and we used yesterday to acid wash it and then paint it, and the material, the color's going to be very close to the tile color. So it's actually looking pretty nice over there. So we'll be opening that this weekend. So we're pretty excited about it. Delayed by a few days. Really didn't matter because it was cooler. Now that it's really hot, we'll be up and running for the weekend. So we're excited there. Some things I want to tell you. We already talked about the new yacht club furniture. A lot of positives have come out of that. Swimming racket's been good to go. Splash pad's about to open. Beach Club. I had some questions. We have the construction fence that was put inside the vinyl fence. And I had a couple people ask me about that. And I thought I explained it, but I thought I'd make sure I cover it again. We went ahead and set up the chain link construction fence. Now, inside the vinyl fence, we had on the ocean side, as we do every winter, when the storms come through and the wind's blowing, that vinyl fence tends to fail. So we had several broken pieces. Instead of replacing them with new pieces, knowing that we have new fence budgeted, new fences going in, we went ahead and did the construction fence, and the new fencing has been put through the process of permitting. Went through the permitting. We're We're expecting that any day. The new fencing's been ordered, so as soon as that's a go, we're going to take down the vinyl fence, but it shouldn't impact the operation because the other fence is already in place. So we did it for we own for a purpose. So it should expedite. Now, it may be, people may or may not like construction folks put fence posts around them, but at least we're open in operation.
Bob, will this be the same fence we've been using in all the other pools?
Yes, the same fence, with the exception of the ocean side will have a 3-foot knee wall on that side because we get the sand that protrudes through there. So with 3-foot knee wall, then the aluminum fencing to the required height, and that'll match the rest of the way around.
Thank you.
It also should let some airflow. If you've ever been at that pool in the summer when it's really hot, and there's even with wind, not wind travels through there, but on a day when it's stagnant weather, it's boiling because there's no air. So this should help from comfort level, aesthetics, just everything all around. Plus, we won't have to worry about the fence collapsing every winter or every time we have a nor'easter or something.
Thank you.
Fun stuff, family fun night. I don't know anybody here that wants to go jump in the pool, but over at the Yacht Club Pool tonight, we have our first family fun night. A lot of people are excited about it, so we're waiting to see what the turnout's going to be. So that should be a lot of fun. If nothing else, come by and just peek
We have
through the
new
thing.
noodles.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You want to get one ride around? It's actually pretty cool. So a lot going on there. We have had some connectivity issues, which we thought we had them all covered, but we wouldn't know for sure until we got all the laptops off and get the laptops with the swipe cards. Let me give you the good side. We've identified where we can make the improvements. Yacht Club has been intermittent. It's actually been working fine this week. With first week, we had some intermittent. We actually have a router, several routers in the Yacht Club that push the signal out. We also have a router that's scheduled to be put in the T, okay, which will push the signal for the whole pool area. The Yacht Club one near the bar is enough to reach, but once in a while, if they have any connectivity issues, it brings that one down. Fortunately, it's been up this week. But as soon as the T bar goes live, we have another router that's going to be a lot closer, and it's going to, like I said, push for the whole area. So if someone wants to go over and log in, as an example, on the unsecured side, they'll have access with their laptop or their iPad or whatever to see and look. So we think confident that's going to fix it. We believe we'd like to hardwire to the sports pool. We're getting some quotes. We've got a quote for MediaCom. We're looking at Verizon. Just trying to permanent line up something year round using that signal to Public Works. It's been up and okay, but once in a while you have issues with it. It still works, but it's extremely slow in response time. Well, that's because you're sending the signal. So although it's working, it's not as efficient as it should be. So what we're doing is just looking at what it costs us to go ahead and hardwire for the sports court. The Mumford's pool, we're looking at hardwire, but we're also looking at a hotspot, and we tried it now a couple times on a couple different days with different conditions, where you actually, instead of using a phone, you just buy this unit that you plug into your computer and it picks up a signal. And we're looking at using that because it's a limited use, 100 days plus or minus a couple. We think that's going to make more sense economically to do a hotspot adapter. We've tried it with a phone a couple of times, and the signal's the same with a phone as it would be with the hotspot. So we've got multiple ways we're fixing these, and we're exploring them all.
If I may ask a question, because I'm not familiar with the hotspot, does that mean the people who are sitting in that pool at Mumford will be able to use their laptop?
Not necessarily. It depends on the space. Okay. Yeah, it depends on the access. That's part of what we're looking at right now. It's not intended for that purpose. It's intended for our computer, so we can have internet connectivity, which tags to our Lances system, which then gets us to swipe. The disappointing part is that we found out, even hate to say it, but we've actually got folks that are coming up and we're saying, we need your card, and they give us their membership card, and we're like, no, your coupon card, well, I thought it didn't work. We're tracking it. You're going to get a bill for it. You're not getting by. It's more work on us, but we're tracking when you come in town. When they find out it's working, they pull out the card. I just don't understand, but it happens. So we have a few people trying to take advantage of it. We're going to close that loop very shortly. Okay, some miscellaneous things. Jack, first item's yours, sir. Drainage Task Force. We'll schedule a meeting in July. That'll give us a couple months under our belt with our current team, see if there's anything else identified, anything that we need to have questioned. Boat ramp, we're reviewing strategies, monitor from how we're going to monitor the parking lot, how we're going to monitor access, any fees, any of those type of things. I spoke with Mr. Watkins, Marine Advisory Committee, and you put him on path to do the same. So instead of both of us turning our wheels, we're working collaboratively to come up with some options and solutions that may work or recommendations we may have. CPI, talked about this, and the energy's been up, and we're getting a ton of emails. Nothing's happening different right now, not next week, not following, until we get what we said we were going to do 10 days ago. We're reviewing all the resolutions, past actions, legal input, and in addition to, and Sharon was helpful with this, getting some information from other communities, how they're handling abandoned vehicles, properties, and disrepair, those type of things. So we can look at it from a more global picture, and then we're going to figure out if our current resolutions are effective enough, if we're not following them as accurately as we should, or if we need to add some things to put some more teeth. So by our next board meeting, we'll have that, if not sooner.
So you're staying on the 30-day schedule.
Well, 45, but now we're on 30. Well, 30 out now.
June 4. This is, what's the next day?
18. 45 days.
So you got 30.
30 left.
Yeah. Oh no, I'm just saying you're staying on.
Oh, I'm staying on my schedule. Oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Good man.
So, so we'll have that process lined up. I appreciate people sending the emails and they're upset about this or that. Just because we're talking about it doesn't mean the solution's immediately in hand. We need some time to get this resolved, and we're working. So we're going to get it corrected and do what we have to, because we all agree. Everyone wants this fixed. Maybe the staff, you guys, and our members. They deserve it. So we'll get it fixed. Public Works Yard.
Let me just add something to that CPI, just so everybody's clear. And I think you've tried to make it as clear as you can. This is not coming off the radar. We are very seriously looking at the existing regulations, reading them, trying to see what junk is junk to me, and it sounds easy to do. You know, it sounds like just go get a tow truck and just take care of it. Well, it's not that simple. It is a matter, we have to have the regulations in place. We've already found some regulations from some other communities that would help strengthen our position when we finally go to court and go after these people. And I know Bob and I have already talked about just one piece of this, is the whole idea of maybe repetitive, someone who repeats their violations over and over again, creating a much stronger. But right now, there's nothing in the guidelines, there's nothing in the directives from the board of directors that tells the staff, go create a watch list. But it's not in there anymore. So this is, once and for all, let's figure out the best way to do this, get some ideas from other people, and then we can go after all these cases. Okay? Just so everybody understands.
Yeah, and I realize it's not flicking a switch, but what I'm learning, and remember, I'm a novice. You know, even though Bill's not, because he's been so involved in meetings and stuff, but what I'm learning is that some of this stuff's been around for a couple of years. And something's wrong there.
Well, if the net of it is there's
but
loopholes.
hey, no, we're headed in the right direction. Right. Let's get it done.
All right, Public Works Yard was open in May for yard debris. We had put it out, publicized it. I actually have a good side. I received even yesterday some thank yous for some residents that appreciate the fact that we're open Saturdays, bringing debris. We had opened the yard for debris. So that worked out well. We'll plan to do that next spring as well. Rec and Parks, a lot going on there. The summer camps just started. I'm surprised with the heat outside. We don't hear the kids in the gym today. They're packed. The camp's way up. Just like last year was our biggest year. Years ago, we used to have a pretty strong camp. Then over probably 10 years, it kind of faded off. Last year, we approached it a little different and became aggressive with some of the things we're offering, some programs, and it shot through the roof. And we're back up to the same numbers this year. So that's looking very, very good. Sign in here, doing a great job with that. So please be aware when you come through the parking lots here, or you're looking around, you'll see, and kids are cute, camp kids walking around. Just slow down, take a look, but it's exciting to see. Concerts in the park start tomorrow night. Honeycombs are the first group we have, and it'll be out here starting at 7, so hopefully it'll be cooled down a little bit by then. So there's a lot going on. Please check the website.
Yeah, just something to that too. I complimented Sonia and her staff. They did the movies in the park on Monday night. You could hear, it was great. The kids were having a ball. They're with their moms. They're all singing along to Frozen. It was just great to watch. So it's a good activity for the kids, and that's just wonderful for them.
We're trying. Yeah, we're trying to add more things, other things that bring people out. Okay, on the questions, but before I do, well, we've been asking as we go. One budget request wasn't in your packets. It is a budgeted item. It's for a Kuro Sidewinder replacement mower. So basically, we're getting a new mower. It's one of the more expensive ones. We had a budgeted item for it. Budgeted item was for approximately $40,000. We're actually the turf equipment's the first one, and it's approximately $9,500 below the original budget amount, so it's cheaper than what we had budgeted. And we'd like to go ahead. It is in the budget. It was approved. We need to make the purchase before I can do it. We do have 3 bids.
I make a motion that we accept the bid from the first company as recommended by the staff.
Second.
I'll second.
Discussion. This is a budgeted item, and it's coming in under budget. Call the question. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed?
Any other questions for me?
Bye-bye.
Except for Jack.
Yeah,
I know there.
just to stay on top. That's all. And
Yes, sir.
It's for both
No.
both you and Jeff. The status on the computer IT system. Where are you guys? I mean, you're still working forward on
Definitely
that?
working forward on it. We need to. We're having systems start to fail, so we're working through it. I was working with a consultant. We had a little bit of a challenge there, so we're researching some other. I had a lead on another consulting company. You have to be careful when you're doing, and Jeff alluded to this last time, as you're going through and you're trying to do a selective path here, a lot of consulting companies also want to provide you with. So we're going through this kind of very methodical process to make sure we've done it correctly. So yes, we are actively working.
So, I thought my understanding. Maybe I misunderstood something. You guys are working towards an RFP. No.
Well,
Yes.
we actually put an original RFP together. And again, as we talked about probably 3 months ago, we had an RFP.
Yeah.
We kind of reset it because we were asking for something, and with some input Jeff had from his experience, we kind of started going back a little bit. Wait a minute, this is quite hit what we want. We decided to move out looking at consulting companies, not folks that would bid on it, so we started approaching some of them. Have some limitations, and Jeff actually spoke about this 2 months ago. Limitations on local companies that are willing to actually work the salt, willing to do it. They typically want to not only bid on it, but they want to provide you the service. And they're each and because of our limited professionals in that area, we're trying to do everything we can before we put it out. We know regular folks are going to send it because they're all good quality companies. We just want to make sure we put it out there. We've dotted every I and crossed every T because it's going to be an expensive endeavor. I mean, we have it budgeted, but it's still expensive.
You got a timeline on that?
I'd like to have it done yesterday. That's
Yeah,
my
I'm
time.
sure.
I mean, it's good. Technology's killing us efficiency-wise,
No.
but there's not a hard timeline. I mean, one of the examples, as an example, Jack, one of the recent consultants I actually had a 2.5-hour lunch with, we talked about the strategy he would use when he came in, and one of the first things he said, do you know what your software needs? We've already done the analysis. That was something Jeff was actually surprised that we had gone to each department and did an internal analysis based on best practices for each of the areas, what other companies or other folks in those particular industries use to select our software. Big step for helping us figure out the right hardware solution. So we're active and we're engaged at a number of different levels. If we were a single company doing one thing, we'd have been done last year. With the multiple pieces, you got to be really careful. But again, so I'm not giving you here's the time frame just because we got to make sure we do it right. Again, speed is not always the best way to do it.
I agree.
Any other questions for me, except for Jack?
No, I don't have any more. I'm done.
Thank you.
But they were good questions.
They were good questions. Bob, you can hand Jack the $10 now. It's 20 this one. Okay, public comment.
Full of Old Street, 12 Lord God. Let me first say something. I was here last month, made a big speech. A lot of people had called my house, had goods and bad stories. I went today to the doctor, but I had a big heart operation. I told him that I weighed a little bit hell. He said, well, you got a heart as a horse, so don't worry about it. But what I want to say over here, I was approached by one of you members in a restaurant a week and a half. I was interviewed by some people. And one paper interviewed me and asked me some questions. And the name Thompson came up. And if you have read in the paper, that I told the reporter that I like this Thompson. But I don't like this Thompson. Oh. And Tom, we had quite a few meetings. And I told you that too. I have nothing personal any member. I just don't mind politics. But this person had a person. Now, one of these people who was with me wrote me a letter. And I want to give every one of you. This letter is not written by me. Letter. That's me. I sat in this restaurant with people on a Sunday morning, and these people had seen me on TV and reading my story in the paper, and they wanted to know why I was criticizing the board. Unfortunately, this gentleman was sitting across from my table without any that we asked him to come. He came up to my table, and the first thing he criticized me was my Catholic religion. I was a liar. I was supposed to go to confession. I was not a good family man, a liar. He told me everything. This is this man. And he's a board member. This guy who wrote that letter don't know who he was. He said, is that man in the board? Is that the people we got in the board? You have humiliated me. You were bum. Hear what I say? You remember last year when you were sitting here on the table for the election, how you came out and told us people, I'm going to do this and this. You put your chest out. Well, anybody liar was you, not Dutch. And don't you ever come to my table and criticize my family and my religion. You hear what I say? Let me tell you a story. I come a lot in the state of Arkansas. I went to Baptist churches over there. And I got very well notice of people. These people don't want you to criticize for religion. And if you do that, like you did to me, they go out in the woods, they kill a skunk. You know what a skunk is? And they nail it on your front door. They let you know what you bet. And nobody in town talk to you when you stink like a skunk. Now, I don't got any guns. I cannot do that. But from now on, your name is not Cotswold, your name is Scunpa.
Okay, Judge, you made your point.
Now, let me tell you, don't you ever criticize my religion. And you owe me apologize. You a bastard.
Go through public comments. It's not worth my time.
Next. Anybody?
Should I change the subject?
Sure. It's public comment. As long as it has to do with Ocean Pond.
Joe Reynolds, 84 Watertown. I don't know how to follow that, but if Gene Kelly was singing in the rain or something, but we don't have a lamp post with no rain.
I'll sing through.
Or supply lamp.
I'll get a water hose.
Trolley service. We have a trolley service now in Ocean Pines, and I'm not here to discuss whether or not the general manager should or should not have spent the money without board approval, or whether it's a good idea or a bad idea. Here's my question. That service, if you look at it in its totality, was designed to get business. Goes to the casino. Original idea started with the casino. They want business. Downtown Berlin. Go over there and go to their restaurants, go shopping. West Ocean City, you go and get delivered right to the door of nice restaurants in West Ocean City. Get delivered to the door wall. Sure, what we have is we're paying $5,000 to take people from Ocean Pines someplace else to spend their money. I have no problem with that whatsoever if there is a reciprocal agreement. As I see it, now maybe I'm missing. We have two spots in Ocean Pines. One is the swimming pool, covered pool, big attraction in the middle of the summer. The other is this building. I have to ask myself, logic, why aren't we delivering people outside via trolley stop to our yacht club? Spend their money here. We're sending people over to West Ocean City, Berlin, casinos spend money. How about we bring some of those people that live in those areas, Berlin, wherever else they can get on that bus, and bring them over to the yacht club? Anyway, that's one item. Signs. October 12th, 2012, October 16th, 2012, Daily Times ran an article by one Brian Shaney, an article about sign regulations in Ocean Pines. The issue was a CPI inspector, Jim Kerner, removing signs from properties in Ocean Pines and whether he was authorized or had the right to do that. Porter says that he called Kerner, called CPI, got no return calls. He did talk to Bob Thompson. And Bob Thompson told the reporter, according to the reporter, that Jim Kerner certainly knows the rules, and if he took down any signs, it was because they should have been taken. So, that was 2012. At the May board meeting, 2014, Joe Moore showed up, provided his board of directors with information about the signs. Really wasn't accidental he was here. I had called Senator Mathias and asked him to look into the issue. If necessary, go to the Attorney General and ask for opinion. Because in my view, taking political signs off properties is not something that OPA can or should do based on Supreme Court.
Can I save you some time on that? I just got through handing to the ARC committee yesterday morning the proposed draft changes to our guidelines. I sent them to the board. I gave them to the ARC committee and the group of members, that OPA members that worked with me on it. They've got it in their hands, and in that document, any regulation of non-OPA elections is out of our hands.
Well, that's fine. That's fine.
Okay.
And
That helps you.
I appreciate that.
That happened yesterday morning.
I only brought it up because this morning I called the director of CPI at 12, and he told me as of this morning he knew nothing about this. Nothing. So if it filters down to him finally, that's great.
guideline is still what it is. We have to vote to change it. Just gave it to the art committee yesterday after studying it and getting input from Joe Moore, which is what you want. So that's happened.
I don't want to get a big discussion of it. I'm not
Okay.
so sure you need to change anything.
Yeah, well,
But anyway, I think CPI is forcing it correctly to start. Golf. Last June, in this room. Yeah, this room. General manager gave a report, fair amount of cheerleading and excitement about golf a year ago. Decide, do this, do that. Board member Sharon O'Hare was all excited because Casper was in town, and everybody was all excited about that. With all this excitement and all this outside play that was coming. So here we are a year later. And what did the excitement bring? The second largest loss in golf in the history of Ocean. $325,000. So, don't always believe what you hear people. Finances. The board of directors is yet to discuss the April financial report or the end of year report. We seem to get more caught up. Excuse me, Bob, but you mentioned about how we caught this edge of something over there. You know what? That might be well. But I think this board of directors, its responsibility, have more to do with actually running this place than whether we caulk some joint. I think this board needs to discuss financial issues.
Hey, I'm sorry. I'm starting to lose it with the hearing. What did you say this board should what? I didn't hear what you said.
Discuss our financial status, month to month, what we're doing, whether we're on budget, away from budget, how each amenity is. I think that's more important for this board to discuss and to hear from the general manager than whether or not some joint was caulked or not caulked at a poll zone. In other words, priority. Priority. When we jump cars, in an email from CPI Inspector Jim Kerner, 6/13/2013 or so, to a complainant named Walter Kira. There was a complaint about a junk car. Kerner wrote back to the gentleman and said, following items in your complaint do not meet the standards to be classified as violation. Here's an item. A fully covered car, expired expiration. Tom Terry said, so the inspector says this car, expired registration, does not be classified as violation. Tom Terry then said, as to this particular situation, as the stated answers given have been based on rules that need to be changed, those changes will be done. Somebody ought to read the ARC guidelines.
what makes you think I haven't?
Guidelines, C2. This is what the inspector is supposed to. In the process of evaluating whether motor vehicles to be included in the junk category, conditions such as, but not limited to, flat tires, missing headlights, broken windows, absence of current state registration, and other on-site conditions are to be considered. Beyond that, Joe Moore at a meeting last month sat there, almost in the exact spot you're there, Mr. Derek, and said the board of directors can send their inspectors out there, they can go on properties without permission, they can lift up the covers, they can do all of it. And yet, we have to wait 45 days or so to even get a report back from the general manager to you, the board of directors, about what his conversations with Joe Moore were or weren't. I think this board ought to be having those conversations, attorney, and not the general manager.
And Joe, what makes you think I'm not?
I only know what was said at the meeting. I only know what the general manager said here today. Now, if you are, what about the rest of them? Oh, it's a board issue. I know you don't want to hear it.
Anything positive in Ocean Pines, Bill?
Is there anything positive in that?
Anything? I'm just wondering. I mean, you keep looking in this direction. Anything? It's a great community. We got a lot of good things.
Great place to live by. Is there anything positive about the United States of America, Bob?
Absolutely.
You keep
I'm proud
looking
they
at the paper
served
here
in
on the
the
radio that the United States, if this is wrong, this is
All
wrong,
right.
this is wrong. But this is a great country to live in. Just because someone has a problem with some things does not mean the whole thing. And I resent you suggesting that I think that way. This is a great, I've lived here 25 years, okay? And I love the place. That doesn't mean I'm going to sit back and say, Bob Thompson's Mr. Wonderful. We should celebrate every day that we have.
That would be
And
awesome.
dare not
I'll
say
take one
anything
day. One would
that
be
might
good.
be different.
All right.
Thank you.
Next, anybody?
And I was addressing the board of directors. Thank you.
Okay. Oh, I'm sorry.
My name is Roland Langevin at 20 Crossbow Trail in Ocean Pines. We have a problem that's systemic to these junk carts being in people's driveways and so forth. The place is beginning to look trashy. People are not respecting the community when they come in here. They are dumping trash on the highway. I urge each and every one of you board members to get out of your car, walk a half mile around Ocean Parkway, and see how much litter is accumulating in those gutters. Pick that litter up and do the same walk again the next day. Guess what you're going to find? More litter. Almost on a daily basis, I walk from my home to South Pond with a plastic bag full of minimal amount of household trash and 3/4 or more worth of street trash that I'm picking up on the way around South Pond. And it's a daily basis. I don't know how you can regulate morality to try to get people to not litter. But could I suggest maybe putting up a sign as a north gate and south gate? Please maintain the beauty of our community. Don't litter. I'm sure it's going to attract some people the wrong way, that's going to force them to litter just to be obstinate. But it might save 1 or 2 pieces of trash from going around the neighborhood, going into that South Gate pond. I'd really like to see a cleaner community. What a vision now. Thank you.
Actually, it's a good idea. Do not litter sign. It's really a good idea.
No,
Don't you
actually,
agree, Bob? I mean, you agree with that, right? I mean, you got to agree with that. The do not litter sign.
I can put next to the do not grab sign, do not clean up after your dog sign. I'm not disagreeing that we need, so I can't give you an agreement one way or the other. No, sir. I'm not committing one way or the other.
No car sign at the entrance.
But to his point, we are.
I don't have a solution. I don't like you guys making light of this.
Actually, I've seen you picking up the trash, and I appreciate you doing that. And frankly, I think you have a very good point. I think the members of this organization and those that come visit members of this organization ought to have more respect for this community than throwing trash all over it. So I completely agree with your point.
You guys would do your job and get rid of those junk.
Well, again, it gets to be interesting after a while when you sat in a meeting and already said that you've already started evaluating what other communities have for rules and regulations, what may or may not be needed to add to our own. We've already said it sounds real easy. Just go tow the car. If you can read the record. Look, I'm not arguing. This is my
Nobody
floor.
said that. So stop repeating what no one has said.
Well,
Who has the floor?
yeah, who has the floor here, Joe? The reality is, as I said earlier in this meeting, this issue of the cars, not only is it not coming off the radar, it's also the houses in this community. This is now the 3rd meeting in a row we have talked about the condition of homes and what it is we can and cannot do to address the issues of some of the homes that are unfortunately utilizing the loopholes that in some cases exist in our regulations that allow them to scoot through the loophole and never really give us a chance to do anything about it. Now, we are serious about this. We are working it, and we are not ignoring it. And anybody implies that we're not, I frankly don't appreciate it. Now, I'm sorry, that's the end of it. I'm tired, of hearing that we're ignoring this, because we're not. Old business. Motion, Jeff Knepper.
May I make another public comment?
Yeah.
Okay. I have a motion, which I will read. I move that the Ocean Pines Board of Directors refer Resolution M02, the amenity policy, to the Green Activities Advisory Committee for its comments and suggested changes. The board directs that notice of this action be posted on the OPA website in the appropriate location. When considering changes to M02, the MAC shall take into account an email from Jim Trummel, Chairman of the Bylaws Advisory Committee, dated June 11, 2014, and attached to the motion. In addition, the MAC shall make a specific recommendation on whether OPA boat launching ramps should remain open to the public or be restricted to OPA members. The board also directs that the MAC return its comments and recommendations to the Secretary of the Board of Directors not later than August 15, 2014.
I will second that motion.
Discussion?
No, I think it's a good idea. I think you'll recall at the work session that, I said that's right. Exactly the way to go. So, Frank, thanks. Thank you, Frank.
Respect.
I did say that. Yeah, I said that. Fine.
Okay. Any other questions? Call the question. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Thank you.
Okay, not to be outdone, I have another thing.
This is under new business.
This is under new business. I move that the Ocean Pines Board of Directors refer our resolution M07, bulkhead and waterway maintenance, to the Marine Activities Advisory Committee and the Environment and Natural Assets Advisory Committee for comments and suggested changes. Further, the board directs that notice of this action be posted on the OPA website in appropriate location. The board also directs that these committees return their comments to the Secretary of the Board of Directors not late than September 30.
Second.
I'll second that.
Discussion?
I'm glad that you have both committees involved because they both have been discussing this. That and they well, yeah. So makes sense.
Call the question. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Next.
I have a handout that I'll pass down.
This was distributed in email prior to.
These are a set of specific objectives that are proposed for inclusion in the general manager's bonus process in the fiscal year that we're in now. There are 5 of them. It's been distributed. I don't think I'm reading it again. Read it? Okay. The first one, deliver to the board an IT plan for updating the OPA's network, measured by its completeness and accuracy. Number 2, coordinate with the county to represent OPA's interest in the waterline replacement program, develop and implement an OPA plan for oversight, measured by the quality and actual implementation plan. Number 3.
Is that water line replacement, Jeff?
I'm sorry?
Water line replacement?
The county program.
Yes. That's what that is. I thought it was good. Update the CIP for presentation to the board, measured by its completeness for a plan of proposed action through 2020. Yacht club operations, measured by quality of service, speed of service, quality of food, and finally, completion of the building. Number 5, a drainage team operations and drainage strategic plan, measured by its responsiveness and quality of operational work, plus quality of a long-term plan of action to address our needs. None of these things speak about financial objectives because they are elsewhere. So these are specific things that we would like the general manager to accomplish. This is draft for discussion.
This is not a motion, this is just for discussion at this point.
How do you want us to handle this discussion? Sending you back an email? What would you prefer to do, John?
Well, it's kind of the board's pleasure at this point. If you want to discuss them now, fine. If you would rather have a little time to think and respond in email, that's fine as well. What's needed is input. If you don't like these at all, write 5 more.
Yeah. And well, who's setting this up? You or Jeff is? Okay. Yeah, I'd like to meet with you.
Good. Meeting with people is fine. Happy to do that.
Yeah.
Almost anything that you want to do is okay. And
one of the things that I'd like to see included is in the back of the contract are a series of goals that were deliberately put into the contract that Bob is responsible. They're dollar and cent contract goals. Remember that?
Yes, those are the financial.
Yeah, the financial. I'd like to see those included with the overall. You know what I mean? So the membership knows exactly what the whole picture is.
Okay, got it. The one thing I would ask, and it's a request, not a requirement. There are 5 of these things listed here, and there's no magic in 5. But I have seen what happens when 5 grows to 6, then to 7, then to 10. And what happens is you lose focus, and you have a list of point items to be accomplished, and it isn't really anything. So if you want to add, another 1 or 2, maybe that's fine. If you want to go anything beyond that, tell me what you're going to take off the list when you put on one that you want to put on. Because I'd like to keep the list in the vicinity of 5.
When do you want response by, Jeff?
Week, 1 week from today.
Calendar.
My email is now working.
What is working?
So,
25th?
June 25th. Okay.
yeah.
Thank you.
My email is working. Sent
Through the board.
to the regular board email.
Board email.
Back online again, Mr. IT.
Well, is that the number 1 thing? The IT working, your email's working finally? Okay.
I won't go through the story because it may.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. It's important we get this wrapped up and documented. Okay. CPI, anything on CPI? Besides what we already talked about. All right. Appointments. Appointment of Dennis Hudson to be the chair of the Comprehensive Plan Committee. Any objections to that?
I'll second that if you need it. He's dynamite.
Just need concurrence.
Yeah.
All those in favor? Thank you. Media questions. Mr. Media, by all means.
With regard to the objectives GM current year, Jeff laid out 5 potential items that you all consider. As I understand it, correct me if I'm wrong, just so I don't get this particular segment, these 5 items relate to a $10,000 bonus for general manager. Accomplish all of these things, some of these things. How does that work?
It is tied to a portion of the overall bonus bonus package is 25% of the bonus package is tied for the financial.
Right, that's the 10,000.
What?
So, I guess what I'm trying to get at is, how does the general manager get that 10,000?
At the end of the year, the board of directors will assess whether these were done or not and decide how much, if any, of it gets. And it's been known to get none of it,
Including the financial.
including the financial.
No,
No.
Financial piece is automatic.
That's another issue.
the financial piece.
Answer your question.
Financial piece is separate. Okay, they're combined together in the end to get the final overall result. But this is intended to have nothing to do with the number.
I understand that. So, correct me if I'm wrong again. If the board of directors votes that these 5 items are them, then at the end of the year, they'll look at what the general manager has done with regard to these 5, and if they think whatever he's done warrants a $10,000 bonus or some part of it, that's what.
Right.
Right.
Thank you.
Right.
Any other questions? Adjourn? Motion
To adjourn.